Okay, so we're recording.
I still haven't pulled up that Google Doc.
Do you know how? That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's not lack of time to do it. It's do you even know what
Dude,
to
I
do?
haven't stopped moving this morning.
Really?
I got up at 7:30 and I tried to mow, but my front yard was too
Too
wet.
wet.
Let's
And then-
see. The first entry into this document was February 28th.
Yeah, I still haven't opened it.
I know.
Ever. Sorry, not sorry.
So much for us getting to be professional.
Hey, evolution doesn't happen overnight.
Oh, what the hell? Let's just start rolling.
Music.
Yes! Once again, it's ShiftLess.
Heck yes.
Once again, joined by the one, the only...
DJ Caleb.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's do it right this time.
Oh, there it is. That's a much larger crowd than that normally applause for me, so that's really cool.
Yeehaw.
Yeehaw.
All right, let's keep it brief. Brad,
What up?
tell us about this miserable weather.
Well, some might say that the humidity is a little high.
What is it?
I don't know. What is it?
It's like 99.7387%.
You know, strangely enough, yesterday it was hot, and I even showed Caleb. It says my phone says 59% humidity.
I have 59% humidity and 74% dew. The dew point.
The humidity.
Which makes it feel like 99. That's one less than 100.
Mine says 98, but
Does it go to 100?
13 degrees above average.
Yeah.
For right now.
but it doesn't feel miserable in this spot.
It's not bad. It's just
It's not great.
I when I got in my truck to leave work to come here, I was thinking like, what's the best way to articulate why I don't like sitting in the heat? If I'm going to do something that I'm okay with sweating in, I'll go out at 105 degrees. But if I'm going to do something that I don't want to sweat in, I don't want to sit out in this shit.
You feel that breeze? You hear those birds?
I hear the birds. I hear you chirping.
I'll give you a big, sweaty, nasty hug when this is over.
I got one last night.
Yeah, that's
Multiple
right.
ones.
That's right. What a great group last night, man.
That was a fun ride.
It was a good ride. Got in the pool. You missed the pool. We got in the pool afterwards.
Okay.
That was good times.
A pool full of 10 dudes that are just like sweating their balls off. That sounds like a soup kitchen.
Dude,
Like
the pool's an instant reset, man. It really is, especially with as cold as it is now.
Not in my own brain.
Yeah, that doesn't.
If we had all
that doesn't
come from
interest
home
me.
and jumped in before we went for a ride, that's one thing. But that's literally swimming in someone else's bathwater.
No. You're way too negative about all the wrong things. It's amazing.
It's 2-1 at the table, but I'm sure we're outnumbered in the pool.
Both of you speak from ignorance because you haven't finished a ride and jumped in the pool. So
Actually, I have. So
you could write a book about all the things that we're wrong about.
yeah.
Rich Waltzman has volumes about all the things that I'm wrong about.
The other thing is the pool is salt water, so in my mind it's
Already pre-sweated.
It's almost like taking an Epsom salt bath, you know?
Except it's human Epsom salt.
No, it's salt. It's
No,
a
I'm talking
saltwater
about when
pool.
I'm not getting in that pool after you and Red and Shannon.
You're way wrong, but whatever.
I'm not swimming in your bathtub.
I'm with Caleb on this one.
Well, y'all are silly.
Yeah,
y'all worry about the wrong shit.
Well, that's not the first time you've accused me of that.
You know what I'm not worried about? The amount of bicycle things going on.
Let's talk bicycles.
That's true.
That's what we're here for, isn't it?
Hey, but also, I talked to my kid today about creating a titanium scraper tool.
Yeah, can you do that?
Yeah.
Titanium
Don't
clog cleaner.
give away my patent.
Okay, it's pending. It's pending anyways.
Okay,
We filed for it.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
yeah.
But
Don't file for the patent.
I need to
Justin
get a
Terry will tell you
sketch.
about that.
I need to get a sketch and dimensions and stuff from you.
Really? Okay.
Because he said totally he can do it.
How much is this going to cost me?
I don't know. That's what we're trying to figure out. Because at their work, they have what they call drops. And it's pieces
Sure.
that come off of products that they're already
Yeah.
Oh,
doing.
this could easily
Yeah.
come off that.
Yeah.
So I told him, like, I said 7 inches overall. I said, like, blade could be like 4 inches long, like 2 inches wide.
Yep.
A
And
Brad
then-
7 inches or a Paula 7
and then
inches?
a metric 7 inches, a standard American, all the red, white, and blue 7 inches, not a scaled down version. And then have it taper for the handle.
Yeah.
But are you going to want to wrap the handle or anything, or are you just going to
No.
keep it flat? We'll just
Yeah.
deburr it and
and
So you want it like a toothpick where it's pointing on both ends, or what are you
I'll
shooting
sketch it
for?
out, but I'm
Yeah.
thinking of having a little bit of curve, like the Pedro's is a
Yeah.
nice one. It has
Yeah,
a
yeah.
slight curve on it, and on the inside of that curve are
the
probably
undulations.
a little 1/4-inch sawtooth kind of things on it, just to be able to pull stuff.
Yeah.
And then what I typically do is I store it behind or in between the Velcro and the seat stay or seat post, seat tube. So I just keep it
so you
between
need
my
it,
frame back.
So you need it curved. Oh,
If it's about 3/4 of an inch wide,
that's it.
it does not have to be.
I told him like 2 inches wide and like the blade like 4 inches long.
That shit's strong enough that's the thing is the reason why you see plastic ones that are that wide is that's more plastic for the strength. But when you get into titanium, which I've been told is titanium is forever,
It is.
you can get away with making it a little smaller.
But I think he said that this
So that would be the Brad 7 inches. Then.
Yes,
the titanium I think that they're working with is a lot thinner because it's airplane gauge. So we might do a mock and see what it.
Yeah, I can send him a sketch.
But the other thing is he could easily cut 2 exactly the same and run a bead all the way around them so they're meshed up together.
Oh, that's
to
true.
double the rigidity.
Yes.
What I mean, what's the gap between cogs? What's the measurement on that?
Oh, that's actually a good point.
Like 3/30 seconds or something like that.
So it would need to be. I mean, the thing
No,
is,
that's not right.
It needs to be. All it needs
That's
to be
not right.
is slightly stiffer than plastic and unbreakable, unlike a paint paddle. And for people who don't know what I'm talking about, this is an idea we've been tossing around between the three of us of a more sturdy mud pick. Do not go out on a muddy ride and bring a paint stirrer.
Yeah.
Especially,
You might as well have a paper straw.
it's right because those things are not made to withstand any kind of torque or pressure, and they're going to snap.
Yeah.
It's still better than nothing.
It's better than nothing, 100% better than nothing. And the plastic ones won't break, but they tend to not be stiff enough, especially the Pedro's one that has a little hook. It'll bend.
They give before they pull out what needs to be pulled out, basically. So, titanium
Yes.
is sounds sexy to me.
I like
And
that.
If we can make this work,
I do. I like it.
we might have to put some like ShiftLess logos on it.
Oh.
and Patreon the hell out of those.
Oh, yeah. And yeah, because you have the laser engraver now, right?
I do. I don't know. I'm willing to try it on titanium.
Yeah. I heard you'll try anything twice.
3 times.
Ooh, yeah. 3 strikes and you're out.
Hell yeah.
Who wants to go first? I have all kinds of stuff I want to talk about too.
Well, it sounds like you just volunteered.
So, don't tell my wife.
Oh my.
But I went to the bike shop yesterday and I ordered some goodies for the Timba.
Okay.
So I'm going, in a rare move for me, I'm putting color on my bike.
What?
Normally I'm chrome or black. And that's
You
it.
like the blue. You like the teal.
Oh, I do like teal.
You're a teal boy.
But I don't have any anodized parts other than the accent knobs on my clampers on one of my bikes. I'm going White Industries orange bottom bracket. I'm going black White Industries cranks.
Okay.
And I'm going to do a orange chain ring. And then I'm going orange White Industry hubs as well. And I ordered my hoops. I told you that.
You told me that.
So I'm going 28 hole hoops on these, and 28 hole hubs, obviously.
Okay.
Gonna build them bladed, just like my other wheels are, and then GX transmission. So then I still have to figure out seat post, which I'm probably just going to get an Ericsson.
I'm about to say you're just going to do Ericsson.
Yeah, well,
with the orange
yeah,
on it.
Yeah, and then seat, I'll probably just end up with a WTB Volt. That's kind of my go-to saddle.
So this is a black Stella
with an orange decal.
Okay, I was going to ask.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember what color the Chumba
Yeah.
decals are.
So then it's just brakes, which are going to be clampers, which Thornton ridiculed me about last night.
He blew you up last night.
He called me a zealot last night.
That technically, though, that is a very accurate term. He used that term perfectly.
I was about to say it was appropriate.
Yeah. Which, that's okay. We're zealots about lots of things.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. I didn't. I think I kind of semi-called him out on that a couple episodes ago.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I didn't use that label, so thank you, Ben, for zealot's appropriate.
Did you call him Benford?
I
Or
did
did
not.
you say thank you, Ben, for?
I said Ben
okay.
for.
Benford.
Benford. So we did. That being said, we ran into Thornton last night at East Side, and he was on the new what is it? The Motera SL.
He said it, and I don't remember that. That probably sounds right.
I don't even know what that is.
It's
What is that?
Cannondale's new super sexy top of the line e-bike. It's
like a gravel e-bike, a
No,
mountain
it's a
e-bike.
mountain bike.
No, it's
a 140
Montana. 160, 150.
Okay.
Okay.
It is pretty. It is very pretty. It's
Okay.
got like this bass boat kind of glitter paint job on it.
Okay.
That being said, he still has another e-bike. He has this Santa Cruz Heckler that he's maintained. So guess who's going on an e-bike ride tomorrow at
fuck.
Cross Timbers?
I told him yesterday.
Cross Timbers.
I'm
is
tired of
underwater,
talking
too.
about
No, it's
e-bikes
not.
on this
Yeah, it is.
podcast.
Well,
Parts of it are.
that's fine. We don't have to talk about e-bikes. I'm just telling you that I am going to dip my toes in the water.
And you're going to Cross Timbers.
Going to Cross
That's actually
Timbers.
a really good choice to
I think
go test one out and not go to North Shore
I think
or
so.
Irwin or anything like that.
I think so. So I'm done talking about e-bikes until I go and do
I do
this
want to hear
ride.
back. I want to hear back.
Yeah. Because he was like, hey, go ride it. Go ride it. Like, he was all about me riding it. And I'm like, on the fucking street? Like, what, oh, yeah, it's fast.
Yeah.
I mean, what's that going to do? It's just going to make me want to hop curbs and stuff,
Do most people clip in on e-bikes?
He was running clipless pedals. So.
Okay. I didn't know.
I don't think there's most people do anything on anything
Yeah,
these
I
days.
think it depends, like, because when you get into truly, like, mountainous riding, you'll notice that hardly anybody clips in. Most people
Right, that's what I
on
was thinking.
technical terrain run flat pedals. Around here, we're more geared towards gravel and cross-country, and so...
Well, we have cross-country trails that people try to ride it like it's an enduro trail.
Yeah.
About to say, I would
But flat pedals are...
I would venture to say that most of the people on our cross-country trails are actually flat pedals these days.
No.
Really?
Have you ever been to a trail, Kevin?
I think you're paying attention to your particular crowd that you're
I
riding.
want to know
with.
who's going to come out with a scuba bike, because that's what we have to have right now to ride these trails.
That
Everything's
is,
underwater. Did you see the Knob Hill photo?
That is 0.5 on my list. I just wrote rain, rain, rain.
Did you see the photo where the Angry Beaver sign is like 6 or 7 inches, I think, above the water line?
Well, I told you guys last week that
Yeah.
Knob Hills was underwater.
You did. That's right.
Yeah.
You did text. You talking about the flooding and all that, the dam.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
So as of this morning, North Shore's at 543 3/4. That puts Knob Hills at almost 9 feet underwater at the low
Holy
point.
shit.
Let's hit one of Caleb's talking points.
Yeah.
Okay. Which one?
Brad in Sedona.
Yeah.
Tell us about your trip. What went on? What'd you do?
Well-
How were bicycles involved or not?
They weren't.
They were supposed to, though.
I thought
right?
you were taking a bike.
I was, and in a
Well, then why were we talking about it?
last minute carpet pull, the gentleman that I was carpooling with up there was also pulling a teardrop, and there was talks of getting a hitch rack or hitch
It won't work.
mounted to the teardrop, and that didn't happen. So the only way he had to affix
I understand that.
my bike to his vehicle was a seersucker rack, which I don't trust anyways. And he was going to, because I drove out with him and then I flew back on Monday.
Okay.
And his lady friend was coming flying in right when I was flying out, and they were going to spend some time and kind of slowly make their way back and do some camping and dispersed camping and stuff.
And have your bike with him the whole time.
Yes, and he did.
I get it.
And he did not want to be responsible for my bike, and I was a little upset at first just because I had been anticipating it for so long. But in real time, I realized once I got there, I didn't have time.
You didn't have time for it anyway.
I cooked 11 meals back to back to back to back
Wow.
for 15 people. So I did Thursday dinner through Monday breakfast,
Yep.
every meal, and everything was handmade, except for one night I served Ben & Jerry's ice cream because that's what the ladies wanted. So
all good. You made the right call. That Flagstaff Sedona corridor is one of my favorite spots in the world.
Yeah.
I love it there. It's just once I get down into Sedona, I don't have any use for the people. Put me up in the national forest and I'm happy.
I had a totally different experience, Kevin. You get back what you put out.
I understand.
Yeah.
I'm an asshole.
Yeah. He's an asshole. I had a very pleasant experience in Sedona. All 11 of my meals were very well received. The group was super nice. I was gifted I got a few gifts on this trip. One of the groups of ladies, because there was pockets, like 4 girls knew each other and 3 girls knew each other, but they gifted me a very nice bread knife as a thank you. And I got tipped very well.
Very nice.
And the caretaker for the property that we were staying at is a retired stuntman, actor, and big cat trainer. And he was in a couple of movies that you're probably familiar with, you might have heard of. Forrest Gump.
Okay.
Never heard of it.
The Postman.
Okay.
And nothing may ever come of this, but when we were leaving, I had given him food throughout, like, hey, you want to try this? Or, and when we were leaving, he goes, hey, do you have a card? And I go, yeah. And he goes, have you ever catered movie sets? And I go, nope, but I would love to. I've never had the opportunity. He goes, I still have a lot of connections. And one of his really good friends, he said, just moved to San Marcos.
Okay.
And has just wrapped his first movie that was filmed, I guess, in Texas. I don't know if it was San Marcos specifically. But he said that it's like his best friend. And he goes, I'm going to reach out to him, and I still have a bunch of connections. He goes, now that I know your food and your character and everything. So, like I said, it's very possible that nothing comes of it, but it was still exciting just to be flirted with like that,
Sure.
Is this like is he a real life Cliff Booth, maybe?
What do you mean, Cliff Booth?
It's,
Once Upon a Time in
Hollywood.
Oh, he was a beautiful man. I mean,
So, a real life Cliff Booth.
Yeah,
he was
Brad Pitt's beautiful.
He was like, wait, what movie?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Brad Pitt's character is Cliff Booth, and he's a stuntman.
Yeah, that's right. I was thinking of a totally different movie. I was thinking about Sean Penn's character. He was the photographer in the
Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Yes, that's what I was thinking
Highly
of.
underrated movie. That
Way
movie's
underrated.
fantastic.
And
And
the
the soundtrack. Yeah. Okay.
Jinx.
God damn it.
But
Focus.
this guy was probably 6'5", probably 5% body fat.
So he was perfect. He was
Muscular, like cutting blue eyes, long blonde hair, and just the softest talking man, and just an absolute sweetheart. I mean, just contradiction between appearance and performance.
Yeah.
So, it was a awesome experience. I mean, I had such a good time there. What else were we going to talk about?
Well, Kevin, you wanted to...
I'll insert music here. Breaking industry news segment. How about that? Let's roll into that, because I actually have one I do want to talk about very specifically. I don't think we talked about it in last week's episode at all, but Envy also showed up on the news wires last week about changing ownership.
Oh, really? Previously, was there an umbrella company that owned Envy, or was Envy just Envy? Because I don't know.
Previously, Envy was Envy, and then I think in 2019 or so, they got purchased by, I want to say, Amir.
Okay.
AMIR. I may be misremembering. Basically, it's a soft goods, sporting goods company. They also like own Wilson and some
Okay.
other stuff like that.
What was Envy called before they changed their name to Envy? Wasn't it Edge Composites or something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember that the other day.
The news came across last week that Envy had been acquired by one of those private equity firms we were talking about in general last episode, and Amir had let him go. And there was definitely a bunch of stuff floating around. Oh, is this the end of Envy? Was this another one that And I actually had a discussion with an Envy employee, and he's like, "No, this is good stuff. This is the tits." Basically, they are being purchased by an Envy fan, somebody that's got a couple of Envy bikes and it lives in Utah where they're located, knows the company well, knows the ownership well.
Think it's Aguero? Rob Aguero?
I don't think he's a billionaire, but
No.
I could be mistaken.
He's a great guy, though.
Great guy. And this private investor knew they were having struggles with the company that didn't understand what they were up to and
Right.
how it worked. Because it's like this Envy employee explained, it's like last year was their best year ever.
Oh, wow.
But it was still their revenues were just a 1.1% of this, their mother company's revenue stream, and it was Envy's best year ever, but it was only 1.1% of their. So they didn't care what
Right.
And so now this private investor is very passionate about them, and they're very excited about the transition. So industry news that's actually sounds like good news for a change. So I thought that was
That is
pretty cool.
Hey, one quick note. I wanted to circle back to me purchasing some goodies for my bicycle. I was able to get
And yes, Envy is an American company.
Yeah. I was able to get a line on some Aspen ST 170 TPI tires through my local bike shop, and I told him, I said, I want 2 of the 2.4s, and I had to all but threaten him to say, hey, order 6. So because these tires are going to go fast. And he was like, but what if they don't sell? And I'm like, dude, you don't understand. So I kind of told him the background, like I told you guys, they've been pro only for 5 years and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, but what if they don't sell? And I'm like, dude, I guarantee you they'll sell. And then he was like, well, I mean, you only want 2. And I was like, yeah. I tell you what, I said, if they suck, I won't tell anybody until you sell all of them. And I said, beyond that, if you still have all 4 that I'm not going to purchase sitting on the wall a month after they're here, I'll buy 2 more. I said, how about that for a deal? And he goes, that's a deal. And I was like,
remind me the model name of that one?
The Aspen ST.
Aspen, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I'm excited to get those. I don't expect them to be durable, and then we obviously need drier trails for that tread pattern to be effective. But I'm interested to get them and just mount them up and play with them and just see how they feel and how they respond and stuff. So I was kind of excited about that, especially because I've been looking for some that weren't $114 or whatever.
Right, right.
Plus shipping, plus tax, plus
Right.
blah, blah, blah. So there will be some in the Metroplex
Shortly.
Have y'all seen the peyote?
No, I wanted to look at those actually. I did see them. They were on one of the bikes at Sea Otter.
Yeah.
They were highlighting them, and I saw them.
So that's a new Vittoria. And
Are they released now?
Yeah, it's on their website.
Okay.
And that I'm going to get to that because
Okay.
I have a 4-letter word after that.
Oh yeah.
To paraphrase their quote, basically they're saying they're faster than a Mezcal but more durable than a Torino.
Oh yeah, I remember the tread patterns, like
Yeah.
arrows, kind of.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
$99 a tire.
That's where the industry's going, brother. Unfortunately, especially for a high-end tire, that's kind of where the industry's headed.
It's been there a while, actually.
Yeah. I mean, you think that's
Yeah, we've been paying what
75?
75 for
Yeah. But if you think that's expensive, I know you haven't, but you should shop fat bike tires. Like just a
Oh well, but that makes sense.
yeah, it's a bigger mold. It's a lot more material and
I would
packaging
expect
and everything
that,
else.
yeah.
But I mean, a decent fat bike tire is $250. Think about that.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, because each fat bike tire is basically the material of two tires, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not the way it works. But
Yeah, but when you get into the like 127 TPI fat bike tires that are 4.8s,
Yeah.
I mean they're $250, and then you get into like 45 North, they're studded tires.
Oh yeah, I've seen
are,
those.
Those are
Yeah.
like 375 or something.
Yeah.
I mean maybe I'm just shooting from the hip and shooting too high, but
But it makes sense that they would be more expensive.
It's similar. I'm not quoting SRP, but it's very astounding in comparison.
The interesting part about the review I read on the peyote was from bikepacking.com. His write-up that he wrote about Sea Otter.
Yeah.
And Vittoria is positioning this as a super fast rolling XC tire.
I guess I should just pull it up.
But he's
instead of asking
saying
you stupid questions.
it would be a great tire for adventure or bikepacking race tire.
Okay.
You've got some tread on there more than the Merino.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin, you're getting blinded by the sun,
am.
buddy.
Are they calling it a cross country? Put your hat
Yes,
on,
yeah.
Jimmy Ray. That's what hats are for. That's what this part is.
Yeah,
Goofy fuck.
he needs a bucket hat. Or your fishing hat.
Hey, but back to the pricing structure, because here's the thing that's equally confusing. Like it's commensurate. It makes sense that a fat tire costs more, but then you get down to road tires, which are a quarter of what a mountain bike tire
Right.
is.
That's where
and
I was
they,
going.
And they cost as much as a mountain bike tire.
Yeah.
And there's no tread pattern on those typically.
Yeah.
It's not about the quantity of material involved.
No, it's about the technology and all the materials and the layers and the high pressure containment and everything else. I was just saying that tire size doesn't necessarily dictate price.
Well, and
so
also,
size doesn't matter?
and also the numbers actually produced though. So that's what you run into with the fat bike tires.
Yeah.
Because they have to get that mold, and maybe they make 500 pairs, where something
Yeah.
else they'll make 5,000 pairs.
yeah.
Proud of yourself there.
I got it.
I'm proud of him too.
I got it.
Well, here's the biggest question though. Does the peyote come in a skin wall?
Well, fuck yeah, it does.
That's worth an extra $10 a tire right there.
It looks like they're
But
only
go ahead
releasing.
and get that third and fourth tire. Be ready.
It looks like they're only releasing one size as of right now.
Well, that was going to be my question. What's the size on it?
2.4
Okay.
is
but
the
there-
only size I'm seeing.
There's a 2 point. There's a. Hold on.
The XC Race, which is the $99.99, only comes in a 2.4, but you can have your choice of brown skin wall or brown gum wall. I guess it is. It's not a skin wall. Gum wall and
It's
a
the
black
same
wall.
thing. Gum wall's the same thing.
It's not.
I think it's.
No, it's not.
I think
How
he
are they-
said.
How are they different? Enlighten me.
A gum wall just has a non-colored sidewall that's still the same material as the tire, whereas a skin wall actually has
a thinner casing?
It's just the fibers, like the casing of the tire, and it just has almost a rubberized coating on it.
Gotcha.
I believe the other size is a 2.4. I'm trying to find that
No,
article.
I'm telling you, that's the only one that's listed on their site.
I'm sorry.
Under the XC Race is a 2.4, which seems to be the tire size that a lot of the industry
That is
kind
the
of.
XC race
Yeah.
size right now.
It seems like that's what everybody's kind of agreed upon, and that seems where everything is going, which is interesting because the Mezcal still comes in a 235, which I don't believe measures out to a 235. Actually, the Mezcal XC Race is now in a 2.4.
I was about to say the Mezcal is a 2.4 now.
No, but
The XC
historically it's been
No, I understand. The
2.1, which was short-lived, 2.25, and 2.35, which seems silly to have them that close.
It's probably the same 2.35. They just labeled it.
You wanna hear
The
2.4.
close.
235 was never a 235. That's what I'm saying. It was more like a 23.
Okay.
And so now they're doing a 24. Hopefully it measures out to a proper 24. That'd be pretty cool.
I'm hoping. I think this is a typo. He is claiming.
he?
What's his name from bikepacking.com.
Oh, they still do have a 2.1, 225, and 235.
For the peyote, he's calling 2.5 and 2.4. I bet he means 2.25 and 2.4. I bet it's a typo. There's no way they're doing a 2.5 and a 2.4. That's
Well, did you hear what I just said? They have a mezcal.
Yes.
They have a mezcal and a 2.4.
Yeah.
They still offer it in their that's in the race, the Mezcal XC race. And then the Mezcal XC, they still offer in a 2.1, 2.25, and 2.35. So 2.1 to 2.4, and then you have a 2.35, which is basically the same freaking thing. So it is very possible that they're making a 2.4 and a 2.5. But I don't see the industry really playing into... I'm just getting worried here. Does that mean that the 2.6 is gone? The Mezcal 2.6 is no more?
It won't be in the XC race, but...
XC Adventure... That's a little worrisome. Oh, yeah. Mezcal XC Trail. Yeah, they still offer it in a 2.6.
There you go.
Okay.
It's not the end of the world after all, folks.
I thought everything was over.
They make a 26 2.1 Mezcal as well.
Where did all these new Mezcals? Now they have a UCI licensed edition?
Yeah, I don't even know what that means. I mean, I get the name.
The tread pattern is different.
But why does the UCI have to license a tire?
No, it's not. It's very close to the same thing. To celebrate Vittoria's long-lasting partnership with the UCI, this unique version of the popular Mezcal features the UCI. It's got the fucking UCI logo and the rainbow swoosh.
It's got the rainbow on it.
I don't see that.
It's down low.
No, I'm looking at it.
Dude, it does have the rainbow jersey swatch all the way. If you're riding that on the trail,
you better be fucking
you're a
fast.
Dick.
You better be fast AF.
God. I'm sorry, riding those tires are worse than like showing up to a group ride wearing a Sky kit or something.
My guess is the target market is mostly on the other side of the pond. But,
yeah, they celebrate that a little more.
But that's just a guess on my part.
Yeah.
Do you have to have a Bluetooth speaker on your bike to ride those? Anyways, Victoria's still killing it in the tire game.
They seem to be not suffering.
No.
But
some of the best tires out there as far as I'm concerned. I've been on Vittoria for quite some time, and I'm more than happy with them.
This kind of segues then. Not that Vittoria is really in this next segment from a context standpoint.
We have segments.
We have segments.
Where the hell did that come from?
This segment's called "The Downfall of the Big Guys and the Rise of the Little Guys?" ? Not that Victoria's in this, but am I wrong in?
Yes.
Brad,
Okay,
Brad Big Guys or Paula Big Guys?
Next topic. No, after reading multiple articles about stuff going on at Sea Otter, and I admit I'm a little behind or a little ignorant on this topic, but we're seeing these big companies that are having massive issues. It feels like some of these smaller companies are taking advantage of that and
filling in the
actually
niches.
Succeeding on certain things.
Well, you got to think about, just from a business standpoint, the smaller guys are used to running on very narrow margins.
Yeah.
And so they know how to work in an anorexic environment when it comes to monetary, expenditures and stuff. The big companies have been kind of coddled into working with bigger margins. So when those margins start to get compressed, everybody panics, and then plus those little guys are not sitting on thousands of products. They're typically like, okay, well, we're going to do our next run in 2 weeks, so get on the waiting list. And I think that's a better business model, except for when you're not producing thousands at a time.
It's a better business model until you need the scalability and need to ramp up.
100%. But I'm about small.
I can relate to that issue.
but I'm about slow scaling, instead of jumping in with both feet, If it makes sense financially, obviously.
Again, speaking mostly from a personal perspective, but I mean, I've seen it in other companies as well. A lot of times it's either no scaling or big. There's no transition scaling. If you're going to scale up, you have to go all in, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Kind of generally speaking. Now, my curiosity is piqued when you say small guys versus. Do you have a specific case in mind that you're referring to as a small guy success story?
No, not necessarily. Maybe it's just bigger news when these larger companies are struggling and having issues.
Well, I think
Kona, Specialized,
Trek
Trek is probably in the mix of that as well.
But you got to think about the breadth of products that Trek produces versus, I think when you talk about small guys, you talk about specialized producers.
Yeah.
Like people like bag makers,
Yeah.
clothing brands. They kind of stay in their lane, like Redshift only makes accessories, and they have like a dozen accessories maybe. From a company perspective, when you get into the big guys, all the people you just named, Specialized and Giant and Trek and, Cannondale, those guys make, just from a bicycle standpoint, they make, 20 to 40 different models.
Well,
and then all the different sizes.
And the different brands that they own underneath that umbrella.
And then all the componentry that is either produced for them and they label, but that is theoretically in-house as well, from grips to seats to pedals to, all of that shit. That's a lot of products to manage. That's a lot of SKUs to keep on top of and to trend and budget for and market and all that stuff. So I think from a small business perspective, it's obviously a lot easier to just make 20 different bags for bikes,
And, along those lines, and maybe this is kind of more of a transition to that specialized discussion that we were fishing for a couple minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, all this industry news we've been talking about for months now.
Yeah.
But it's really heated up in the past 6 weeks.
Yeah, the skillet's getting warm now.
So, definitely there are rumblings out there that somebody huge is up against it.
Are you reading that, or are you just suspecting it?
Both.
Okay.
Both. Well, reading, suspecting, hearing from people that are in the industry.
Yeah.
But nobody's saying who it is, sort of thing. So I think a lot of it's the same rumors floating around that nobody's willing to put an attribution on.
Excuse me. Mm-hmm.
But we're to the point. Okay, so Trek has had news.
Mm-hmm.
They've announced their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Cannondale has had news. They've announced their stuff.
Remind me the Cannondale news again?
Cannondale last week announced a consolidation of their labor within their big group, the Pawn Group.
Oh yeah, that's right.
1% reduction in force. So they've made the headlines. Giant has, with the stages stuff, they're showing that they're still a player in picking up loose pieces here and there. Whereas if they were the guys that were about to blow up, they wouldn't even be reaching out and hiring the stages people, in my estimation, anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sort of thing. So, we're running out of big people or big bike brands.
Sure.
So we're kind of down to specialized now. And potentially Canyon. Is Canyon that big to be considered?
I don't think they're in the same.
I don't think so either. But I say that I don't know how big they are in Europe. Sort of thing.
That's true.
True. They've definitely made inroads in the U.S. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
I wonder what their production rate is and what they're selling comparatively.
Things kind of on the rumor side of things did start to heat up. That Specialized might be the ones that are really up against it now. But that
couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
That's just rumors that are flitting about right now. We'll see and Specialized hasn't dropped any news in all this, and that's one of the that's
good, bad, or indifferent.
Right.
They've been very quiet,
very quiet, and that's kind of been where things have been more telling than anything. Like I said, everyone else has been a player of some sort in adjustments and news and headlines.
Yeah.
Nothing about Specialized yet. So.
I don't want anyone to lose their job, but I have zero love for Specialized whatsoever. Ever since they tried to sue that bike shop in Canada, fuck those guys, honestly.
For using the Roubaix name?
Yeah.
So cunty.
They tried to sue a bike shop, small bike shop,
in
for the use of a name
that's a French word.
That's a French word.
Yeah. Just because one of their bikes is named Roubaix.
Well, they did the same thing to some. It was I may be misremembering the details, but it was something like an outfitter that did backcountry bike tours, something like called Epic Adventures or something like that.
Yeah.
And because they used Epic in their name,
they tried to use the excuse of, it's a pretty specific cycling term. But yeah, so is companies that had sprocket or chain in their name, or any, like you just can't. You can do that. And they also got sued in April for not paying their workers in El Salvador.
Really?
Yeah.
I missed that one.
There was a labor union in El Salvador that went after them. I don't know what ended up coming out of that. Maybe that's still in litigation. But anyway.
Let's go on to something else.
Cool.
Zwift.
Story.
Zwift has price increase?
Zwift price increase came through yesterday. First one since 2017.
Let me guess. People are mad.
People are upset. People are mad. People are flocking to Netflix. No, wait a minute, not Netflix. But I mean, I get it. You know, so price increases do have to come about.
I heard there's a new kid on the market that's better than Zwift.
Which one are you familiar with?
I forgot the name of it. I mean, I'm not familiar with any of this shit. You know me. I have a Zwift machine sitting in my back room that I haven't even done anything with yet.
I mean, there are other.
I forgot. It's like
platform.
Weavy or something like that.
Rouvy.
Maybe that's
Rouvy.
Rolla.
I don't know.
My secondary one is Indie Velo, which is it's a pretty good one, but it's technically still in beta, has been for a while. But I'm doing the paid beta on that one. I will admit, Zwift sent their price increase through yesterday, and so I went ahead and canceled my Zwift subscription for the next one.
Yeah.
Next update, but I've been carrying both subscriptions for a while.
And that just made the decision easier.
And I was actually about to cancel Indie Velo. It's like, oh, okay, I'll just keep helping Indie Velo develop their stuff. And it was one or the other.
But that made the decision a lot easier.
I mean, $20 a month is different than $12 a month. You know,
Yeah.
It's $100 a year.
Well, we've talked about it before. Vote with your money, man. If you're mad, don't go to the internet and
I'm not mad. I don't want it to sound like I'm beating up Zwift because
no. But I'm just saying, if the perceived value isn't there any longer, cancel your subscription, just like you're talking about. Don't go to the internet and just type up a bunch of hate mail and shit.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I will say this, and it's the same for subscription services like Zwift. It's even like cell phone companies. They piss me off about this more than anything, or insurance companies or whatever else. Nothing irks me more as a current customer than to see, I've been a loyal customer for 10 years to this company.
Yeah.
And you're giving this flaming deal to new people to come on board. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm paying 4 times that much, sort of thing. I'm one of the ones that helped you get here. Where's the love for your existing customer base?
So do you want a way around that? You know how to navigate that system?
I mean, you can game any system.
Yeah,
I don't deny that. Or companies can be loyal to their customers.
Yeah. So my wife worked for AT&T.
My wife.
She worked for AT&T for around 20 years.
Okay.
And so she knows customer service inside and outside. So periodically she will call AT&T and go and plead the same thing you're saying. Like, hey, we've been a customer with AT&T for 20 years, and, a new customer can come in and get a brand new iPhone 15 and just sign a 2-year contract, and here we are paying X amount of dollars. Why don't we just go to Verizon? And that's the last thing they want. Customer retention, believe it or not, is almost in line with new customer recruitment.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah, so when you call them and just put that thought process in their head, 90% of the time, they're going to offer some sort of consolation, whether it's a rebate or a break in your bill or changing your overall rate going forward. Because like with our family, we have 5 lines with AT&T. And so they don't want to lose 5 customers. It's not just one customer.
No, I get it. I get it.
And I'm sure your kids are probably under your umbrella too, right?
No, my kids are adults.
Well, I understand that. But, I mean, my kids are technically adults too. But they're still under our plan, But
I piggyback off their shit. They just don't know it.
Oh, there you go. But that is a tactic that I have found works obviously I'm not the one that does the legwork. Paula does it, but
Understood. And again, I am speaking in generalities.
yeah,
I know how to reach out to customer service and
yeah,
hopefully get taken care of when I feel it's appropriate.
yeah.
Okay, this next segment is called, Is This a Story About Bicycles, or is this the title of a porno?
Oh, okay.
The Under 23 Black Hole.
U23 Black Hole. See, this is tough.
Did I just get fired?
We're not transitioning into stuff. So
Florida man?
A Florida man. Did you hear about the? No, this is a real story. The guy, there was a fundraiser, Grand Fondo kind of style ride in Maryland for a local food bank kind of thing.
Okay.
And some not dighead in the fun way, but actual dick with a hard K. Tried to run cyclists off the road, sped up in front of them, pulled into a driveway, pulled a shotgun out, and fired 3 shots.
No shit.
Yeah,
I have no
this dude's
idea.
going to jail for a long
I have
time.
not heard about this one.
Did he?
He did not hit anybody.
Really with a shotgun?
It
Obviously.
the article does not mention which direction the business end of that thing was pointed. So he could have pointed it in the air, or he could have
Yeah.
purposely missed. It doesn't necessarily say which. That
Obviously
that's
not a Texan.
Yeah. This guy's gonna go to jail for a long time.
Hopefully, but
Yeah.
but we've seen historically people that do crazy shit to cyclists. Those kids, I think they were in Florida, as a matter of fact, or maybe it was Georgia, where they were filming and they literally ran over that 66-year-old guy. Like they're filming it and cutting up and ran over him and just left him on the side of the road, and he ended up dying.
The Las Vegas one.
Las Vegas, that's right.
Oh man, I guess I don't know about this one.
Yeah, and I think they only got like 8 months or something, from what I heard.
Fucking serious?
What?
Let me look it up.
Surely not.
But that seems to be what's going on. Is there's a different measuring system for people that are aggressive towards cyclists, and it's very unfortunate.
It's not just, we've spoken about it before, vulnerable road users or whatever it is. I can't remember what the exact, but it's cyclists and pedestrians both. Basically, if somebody runs over somebody, law enforcement doesn't care. Basically, they are trying to just, their goal is to just have it be a civil issue where, the person that was driving the car, they're not really a criminal. They didn't really mean to do that. It was just a bad moment in their life. So we'll let that get sorted out in the civil courts and let the insurance company make restitution. Or that's ultimately what that's all about. The judges and the court system and law enforcement basically don't want to throw non-criminals in jail, is their perception.
Question between the two of you: how many people do you know that has been pulled over and either ticketed or warned about using their cell phone while driving?
Nobody.
0.
Nobody.
And
none.
And it so that law went into effect, I want to say 2019 in Texas,
Yes.
January. It did curtail it for a little bit. I noticed a difference, but nowadays it seems like 1 in 3 drivers are on their phone. And the thing that drives me even more insane is when you see people that are driving new vehicles that have Bluetooth and CarPlay and all that shit, and they're driving either like this with their phone to their ear, or like this talking on their phone, or like this.
That's the people looking at the screen while they're just driving down the road.
It's so annoying.
Every time, if I'm riding on because a lot of times where I need to, if I'm trying to get to certain places, I don't like to ride on the sidewalk because I don't want to compete with walkers and runners. I don't want to get in their way any more than I want cars to get into my way. Right? It's a shit rolls downhill.
Yeah.
And I always laugh when car people start complaining about
just get on the sidewalk.
Cyclists are trying to overtake the road, and meanwhile, what are 18-wheeler drivers thinking about cars? Because they're just as much as dickheads there. Yeah. Anyway, but if I'm crossing a crosswalk on a sidewalk and I see someone pull up on their car and they've got their phone out, I will 100% yell, "Put your phone up!"
Yeah.
Like I don't understand how that law has not changed anything. I'm wondering if I can go to the police department and request citation records and to get an
it's
understanding
funny
of
you
it?
talked about. We were just talking about that. It was the freedom of information.
Freedom of Information Act.
Yeah. So Kevin was telling me before you sat down and before we started recording, he said that, and tell me if you've ever heard this before. He said that Florida is seemingly more out of control because they have what they call the sunset law?
Sunshine laws.
Sunshine law. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
So according to Kevin, and I believe him, I'm not saying anything other than that, but all the news is free and available there, so no stories or nobody's protected. There's no anonymity or anything like that. So everything's just out in the open, whereas Texas is a different kind of system, I guess, if
So
you will.
use that other than like a minor. Like a minor gets involved in a car wreck and they don't release the name or something. 'cause- use an example. I'm trying to understand.
So basically, in Florida, all the public records are publicly accessible.
Oh.
So if there's a police report,
So you don't have to formally file for
you
a
don't
request.
have to file a request to get 911 tapes and police reports
yeah.
and things like that. So quite frankly, the news outlets there just they scan through all the police reports every day to see what interesting shit pops up. So that's how you get all these Florida man stories that pop up. Whereas when it happens in
Texas,
Texarkana, Texas, if nobody outside of Texarkana hears about it,
right,
nobody's going to be looking for that story to file a Freedom of Information Act sort of thing.
Interesting.
Well, similarly, like I've had this discussion many a times, like are people crazier now than they were when we were kids? And I only say that to say I feel like there was a time before the mentality of news where if it bleeds, it leads or whatever. You know, like there wasn't, like when I was a child, you know, in the 80s, the news was a lot happier. They wanted to tell you about, you know, dog that was rescued and stuff. And now it's like 3 people killed in a car accident, you know.
No. I mean,
you don't think the reporting angles have shifted where there's almost an agenda to bring more saddening news?
No, I don't know.
No?
I don't think so. There's a combination of factors at play here.
Yeah.
I understand the perception
Yeah.
you're coming from in that back in the day when we just had the 3 networks and a couple of independent stations or whatever, the news sources were extremely limited.
Yeah.
And so if somebody was on one hot news story, the other ones had to pick it up, or all of their viewers were to go over to that one. So if there was a hot topic, everybody was covering the same thing. Now everything's so diluted. There are so many news sources out there. Sure, there are news sources that focus on the negative and the surreal and the crazy, just to get their attention. Just like anything else that's out there along this front.
It's all about clicks.
That's ultimately the big difference. There isn't that buffer of editorial gatekeeping in the middle. If something happens, it's out there. It's not curated. It's not fact checked and things like that. So everything just goes out there, or just in a scattershot.
But also
approach.
The news was a lot more unbiased when I was a child. It was just the facts, you know. They just tell you what went on. They didn't opine on it. They didn't like put their slant on it or their spin or anything.
I think the slant was more subtle back then.
That's fair.
It's definitely become more overt these days.
Yeah.
People want to lean into were conservative news or were liberal news, or the conservatives are the bad guys or the liberals are the bad. People want to lean into that. It has become more blatantly tribal now. But I mean, what's the best way? I mean, I remember back in the day, you had the Dallas Morning News and the Dallas Times Herald, and most major cities usually had 2 news outlets, but one was aimed towards a conservative bent and one was aimed towards a liberal bent, generally speaking. But it wasn't as overt about it as it is now. But one would run stories that were maybe more sympathetic to labor unions, and the other one would be running stories about, well, gee, these labor unions are going to screw up everything for the rest. So it's still that same bias, but it just wasn't as blatant about it, if that makes sense. But as far as being more crazy now than it was before, I think our crazy is out in the open now, where in the past it just used to be behind closed doors and closed curtains.
I think they'll tell any story that keeps people, that feeds that urge, whether it's blood or politicians yelling at each other, or this guy did this at this protest kind of thing. I think that's if it's a dog being saved, then, and they think it's miraculous enough, they're going to run it. But I think it's just, I don't know. It's just people's appetite for. I think there is a larger appetite for the violence and the bad stuff than there is the good stuff.
I think there always has been.
There's just more availability of it now.
Basically, yeah. Yeah.
Well.
Again, that editorial gatekeeping isn't there like it used to be.
What's going on the under 23 thing?
So
what is that under 23 Black Hole?
He has it. If you read our list, you have a Gmail account, dighead. Just log in.
I don't know how to do this stuff.
All right. So
give me your phone.
Well, I mean, I've got this. I got this.
You're on. You just popped up. That's it.
Yeah. How do I do that on my computer?
Click on the link.
Click on the link.
But my texts don't show up on here because he's on an Android, and so the ones that are the two of us.
Mine do. I wonder why yours didn't.
I don't know.
I can send it to you separately.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
So, I was listening to a podcast this morning. Podcast is one of those things where people sit down around microphones
and pretend they know what they're talking about.
Most podcasts that I listen to sound like they actually know what the hell they're talking about.
And
so I think we're a breath of fresh air.
The topic brought up on this one is actually something that it was a reminder to me. It's been an ongoing point of contention for, again, back to how do we grow cycling sort of thing. It's kind of been a topic we've come back to over and over the life of this podcast. And something that's brought up regularly is there's this huge gap in a lack of cyclists basically between the ages of 22 and 35 for sure, but actually probably creeping up closer to 40 now. Basically, there's nobody riding bikes in that demographic, generally speaking. But that's not a new issue. That's been an ongoing issue for decades, realistically. And the one of the reasons it's brought up in that, so U23 racing in the classic USA cycling UCI format, it's basically college racing. It's outside of high school, not necessarily college, but it's kind of its own age group, and that was the developmental racing structure. And people can poke at USA Cycling on this, but it's traditionally it's been understood that if you weren't off to the races, so to speak, pun intended, with your career at the age of 22, the race organizers just didn't care about you, and there was no more support. So there's support for U23 racing, the college teams and sponsors and things like that. Oh, these are college kids; they don't have money, so we need to help them develop. But once you were out of college, if you weren't at world tour level at that point, well, now you're out of college and you're at an entry level position, and how the hell are you going to afford a $15,000 bike?
Yeah.
And
I mean, unless you were a cyclist from way back, you're not jumping into the sport.
Is there?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. This is the people that were cyclists way back, and so even those people,
but with a hiatus, you're saying, right?
That's where they disappear. They were very passionate cyclists, and it goes away because they were trying to cultivate that higher level racing career, and they didn't get to those highest levels. They didn't get to that world tour level. They didn't get first round of the NFL draft talent. But you know what? In baseball with the minor leagues, in NFL with developmental stuff and things like that, that's your future talent. Maybe it's not the superstars, but that's your bread and butter of what teams are built around.
Yeah, and it's also motivation for the people at the top to keep plugging away because they know somebody's ready to step in their spot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's been a huge hole in U.S. cycling for decades now. And it's catching up with us at the events level and in the bicycle industry and things like that. Because, some of those people, after they go through their cubicle jobs and they have a couple of kids and their kids start growing up and they got more time, they find the bicycle again. It's still a very small window of those people. Yeah. I think it makes all the sense in the world to find ways to keep those people that are passionate about cycling when they're 22, 23, 24 years old, keep them engaged in cycling, because I do think that is the true future of the sport. I mean, people are always talking about NICA and getting 12-year-olds involved. Yeah. Yes, we still need to do all that stuff, but even those kids
are going to fall off.
They fall off.
Yeah, you're going to have an attrition rate there.
Is there huge attrition rate?
Is there a collegiate equivalent to NICA? I mean, not all colleges have an actual college-funded. I would imagine, unless you live in Colorado,
it's U23 racing.
That is the organization.
Okay. I mean, it's the classification, and that's where the support is, and that's that's where that hard line is. Basically, you get to 22 years old, and in USA Cycling, that's racing at 23 because you always, my racing age is 23 when I'm 22.
So why 23? Why such an arbitrary number? Like, is there significance, or
it goes back to the college?
Yeah. Okay.
Basically, everyone's out of college by the time they're 22, roughly speaking.
Yeah. Got you.
Roughly speaking.
Yeah.
Even if you're a redshirt freshman, you're out then. My guess is it probably, and hey, we're idiots. I know somebody that really knows the UCI and USA cycling structure and all that. You're going to tell me how wrong I am. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I'm really broad stroking it here.
Yeah.
But my guess is you go to Europe, you go to South America, whatever else. There is for lack of a better term, what was that?
Is that a gun?
What was that? Oh, I think it's that metal bus tub or metal trough that I have upside down. When it heats up in the sun, it'll blow.
Yeah.
So strategically, I wonder if bike manufacturers are not very much interested in putting in a lot of dollars to market to the younger crowd when they know that when the adult gets out of college and gets a job and has a little bit of extra money. Because, I mean, think about it
that's a long play, though.
But think about it. On the Dorba page, there are a lot of posts that come through weekly getting into cycling.
Yeah.
What do you guys suggest? Getting into gravel racing. What do you guys suggest?
Yeah.
I see a lot of that, and I'm wondering if that's the net that they're casting more towards the people who finally get a little bit of extra income to buy the bike.
Oh God,
as opposed to I don't see anyone targeting 16, 17, 18-year-olds for bicycles.
No.
Outside of Walmart.
No, because you think about what happens is, especially like when I was a child, I rode my bike everywhere, which kids don't do that anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
I mean, I lived my bike.
We all did.
Yeah, my bike was my freedom.
Yeah.
And then it became a skateboard coupled with a bike. And then when I turned 16, I got my license because in Louisiana you got your license at 16, or maybe it was 15. I can't remember. And then I effectively put my bike down.
Yeah.
I've always had a bike since I was like 3 years old, but I took a long hiatus from riding.
Yeah. But look at I know it's not apples to apples, but you don't see pickup truck companies advertising towards kids who are right about to get their license. They're looking for people who can actually afford to buy one.
That's true.
But a 16-year-old can go and buy a bike and not buy a truck. I get that, but I'm just wondering. I don't know the answer to this. I'm just wondering, like, maybe the ad spend and the marketing towards that age group is not beneficial.
Well, it's hard to measure, right? Because it's such a long play.
I mean, most of these kids that are that young that are getting on bikes, they have a parent that's on the bike.
Right. But what I was saying is, and I don't know how ad campaigns go, but you have to justify the monetary investment.
Sure.
And it has to be measurable, to some extent. When you're doing a 5-10 year long play, how do you measure the metrics from that,
Bradford, those are called KPIs.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Key performance indicators.
Yeah, but how would
Write that down.
How would you measure something like that over such a long period of time?
Yeah.
That I think that's where kind of the intention kind of falls off, because how are you going to go pitch something like that to your marketing manager if you can't justify it through any kind of metrics,
Yeah.
Unless you just pitch, hey, we're losing this demographic. We need to put some focus and energy into this. And then maybe you can justify it by seeing that demographic slowly creep back up. But which brings us to...
Well, hold on, before we switch.
No, I'm not switching at all.
Oh, you're not? Okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I just wanted to pick on this because Josh Dean sent me this video, I think at the same day that you sent the video about the pace groups in gravel and from that specific race. And I think that is line in line with captivating and cultivating new riders and bringing them into the market and making them feel more comfortable. And I really like what they did there in that, I can't remember what the name of that race was, but where they offer the pace groups so you can sign up and say, well, I know I can ride 50 miles at 11 miles an hour, and they have a pacer assigned to your group, and it's a no-drop ride. And so if somebody's never ridden 50 miles on gravel before, they don't want to be just out in the middle of nowhere and, bonk or whatever the case is. I think it's a great kind of window for people to get in and get comfortable, at least get that first, and I keep saying 50 miles, but whatever the distance is, that they're previously uncomfortable with. I think it's a great little stepping stone for someone to get that under their belt and hopefully not need that the next time, But as just a participant, not an organizer, I'm curious to know what Kevin Lee's thoughts are, because I know you have opinions on that.
As a participant, not an organizer?
No. I said I'm only a participant. You being the promoter, I'm interested to hear the promoter hat and what the promoter says.
I'm always going to fall back on this, and this it's my safety net. What I love about gravel events is no matter what you're looking for, every gravel event is different.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to accommodate what you're looking for. Just don't expect, because this is the way this event did it, any other event's going to do it the same way.
Yeah.
So along those lines, I agree completely with what you're saying, is that the pace group concept is a fantastic way to help cultivate and inspire confidence among newer gravel riders.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. From a promoter's point of view, I don't think it's a realistic expectation for the majority of gravel events out there to be able to offer that, though.
Right.
Because that's going to be extremely support intensive. You're going to need a bunch of volunteers that you can rely on
to lead the pace groups.
To lead the pace groups and do what they're supposed to do and meet those expectations. But in turn, to make it worthwhile, quite frankly, it's going to need to be a larger event where you're going to have big enough pace groups to make sense.
Right.
You can't have a pace group of 2 people.
Yeah.
Right.
Sort of thing.
Right. You need a lead and a tail.
You need the pacer and you need the sweep.
Yeah.
Both. And they need to know what they're doing. It can't be.
I would volunteer to do that.
Well, I understand you would volunteer to do that, and I'm not saying you wouldn't be capable of it. But it's one thing to say you're willing to volunteer. It's another thing to actually carry through with that claim.
I'm telling you, I'm in, and I was gonna bring it even full circle and say, maybe you should, if you're even remotely considering it, an event like Texas Chainring Massacre could be a great place, because that has a huge draw.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. You need, in my estimation, it probably needs to be an event of at least 500 people.
Yes, I was thinking the same thing.
For it to even begin to be viable. And again, it's so super dependent on volunteers you can depend on. I'm not saying you can't depend on volunteers, but it's just.
Are you saying I'm not dependable?
I'm not saying that. That's my point.
But I think he means outside of his immediate circle.
I have
Yeah.
if I have to bring in 10 people to do these things, I don't know 10 people
Yeah.
right now.
And I would be curious how they recruited their volunteers.
Well,
Because
and we don't-
seemed like it was just a sign up. You could just sign up to be a
Possibly.
pacer.
And I'm not saying that wouldn't work. I would be
You'd have
as
to
a
vet 'em.
as a promoter, I would be that would be my top level of concern is
Yeah.
who are these.
And you've got enough
I'll be
irons in the
honest
fire.
with you, that does start to get into an insurance issue as well.
Yeah, are they technically representatives of the race organization?
It starts getting. And
You
I'm
could
not.
charge them a penny for participating, and then they're an entrant, right?
Well, if they're leading a group, they're a
Yeah,
coach.
they're a responsibility.
So it's.
I'd be interested in knowing how they navigate all those.
And
things.
again, we don't know how it actually went either. So
Yeah, well, it seemed like it went good, but I mean that was just the
I mean, I'm
single
not-
guy's perspective.
Yeah, I'm not saying it didn't. I'm
Yeah.
just yes, all we know is the concept at
Yeah.
this at this point.
Yeah, I enjoyed the concept. I mean,
And I'm not against the concept. I think it's something worth exploring. Personally, our beginner routes are for beginners to gravel, not beginner riders.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. It's
and that's a distance thing, not a pace thing.
yeah. So the expectation is you're going to be out there riding by yourself, and you're going to have to change
Yeah.
your own tire if it's a flat, and
Yeah.
you're already going to have to know how to self.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I recognize there's a need for a more beginner level than that in gravel riding.
Yeah.
I'm not positioning myself to be the one to provide that because I know that's too many balls for me
Yeah.
to juggle with an audience. We do things lean and mean and as grassroots as possible. If it's me and
Sure.
Foster and Jan,
Sure.
it's not a realistic expectation that
to manage 10 volunteers.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, it reminded me when I was watching that video, I remembered back when we did the bike packing clinic where we rode up to 4R and then rode back to 777 Ranch or whatever
Yes.
Hocamp's place is
Yes.
called. And that kind of reminded me, it felt like it had the same spirit almost, if you will. So I thought it was a really cool idea, and I was interested in hearing your perspective and whether or not you had any intentions of doing anything similar.
Well, and then we've been doing beginner clinics, and we've been doing true beginner rides and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
And for us, that's along the lines of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's, hey, let's have 6 or 8 people, and we'll meet at this state park, and we'll
Right.
do this, and
Yeah.
go out on a ride together, a true no-drop ride. Somebody
Yeah.
has issues. Hey, just hang out here. I'm going to go get my truck. I'll
Mm-hmm.
come get you. That's a totally different scenario than, we've got 300 people signed up to
Sure.
do the Midnight Massacre.
Yeah.
Here's 5 different pace groups. Look for the guy with the purple sign.
Yeah.
That's a totally different.
There's a
thing.
level of complexity
Yeah.
that starts to kind of.
It just excited me, just the thought process or the thought experiment or whatever you want to call it, the anticipation of you doing something like that, because I think when you go to an event that's super diverse, it seems like there's so much more integrated camaraderie because you have racers that are killing it, and you have people that literally just did their first 50-mile ride that are equally feeling accomplished.
Here's been our biggest stumbling block for things like this. Let's just call it the beginner-oriented rides and events and things like that. It's two sides of the same coin. Everybody's level of beginner is different than everybody else's level of beginner.
I totally agree.
And 2, nobody considers themselves at that lower level of beginner. They all consider their skill set higher than it is. Everybody thinks, just like nobody thinks they're below average in intelligence. Well, somebody's below average in intelligence,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But nobody thinks they're the one that's below average in intelligence. Everybody that's beginner-ish, there are definitely people that highly consider themselves beginners. And they're actually easy to work with. They're very malleable. They'll listen to what you...
If they're self-aware.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's very few people that are that
But
self-aware.
I think you could eliminate that whole thought process with just a real quick questionnaire, like, do you know how to change a tube? Do you know how to adjust your derailleur?
Trust me, yes, we've done all of those things, and those are the points that I'm getting at.
Yeah.
There are plenty of people out there that don't know how to change a tube, have no idea what a derailleur is.
Yeah.
And have never ridden more than 10 miles on a bicycle, but they, in their minds,
you're a beginner.
They're not a beginner.
Yes, they are. But sometimes you got to tell people what they are.
Yeah.
In the same rate, if you can't own your mistakes, you don't ever learn anything either. But while we touched on Texas Chainring Massacre, our buddy Justin Carey sent an email, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, and we haven't touched on it yet, and I was curious to hear what your thoughts were on that as well. I'm paraphrasing because I'm not reading the email, but he said, since there's going to be a long ride on Saturday and a long ride on Sunday, how about having an overnight option for the dipshits that want to ride 300, 200 miles, whatever. And I was, once again, another logistical nightmare for Kevin, I'm sure.
Right.
But I was interested to hear what your thoughts were on that either way.
My thoughts are that's a different event.
Okay. I suspected you were going to have that thought process,
and it's not.
But I didn't want his email to go unanswered.
No,
first of all,
it's not for lack of bandwidth either. It is because that Privateer Texas Chainring Massacre weekend is built specifically around that 200-mile distance.
Yeah,
is ultimately what it's about.
Yeah,
and
I can't wait to see that unravel.
I'm kind of.
I don't mean that in a bad way.
No, I'm getting, and that's part of what that was part of. As I was listening to that podcast about that U23 Black Hole, it's like, those 23, 24, 25-year-old kids, they're actually the ones that right now are in that developmental phase that, okay, they just came out of organized USA cycling racing and maybe some lower European racing and so forth, but they didn't have quite that level to go world tour. They're the ideal developmental group for what I still think is a huge wave in USA, Go American gravel racing.
Yeah.
That, again, I hate to admit it, but Lifetime has created this talent pool.
Yeah, they're still doing a good job.
Of unpaved racers and riders. I mean, and Keegan's a perfect example. He's top of the heap right now on the men's side. Sophia, top of the heap on the women's side. They are the classic U23 technically non-success stories. They're not world-class level.
Right.
But Keegan came up through the NICA ranks, did U23, and now he's just owning American gravel.
Breaking hearts.
But the Lifetime series itself, it's too narrow of a group to cultivate hundreds.
Yeah. But, I mean, somebody's got to be DFL at those races.
But my point is, they only bring on 30.
Yeah.
And I think there's literally hundreds, if not thousands, of, I'm going to call them kids because I'm such an old man right now, but
get off my lawn.
Very talented bicycle racers that are somewhere between 22 and 26 years old. And even the ones in that age group, they recognize it takes until they're 30, 28, 29, 30 before they have the experience and the skill set to really go to the highest levels. Sort of thing. And that's where our big gap in USA talent has been for years. We're casting this group to the wayside that should be our farm system. This should be our minor leagues. It really should.
Well, here's a yes or no question for you. Are other countries doing it better than USA as far as that age bracket?
Yes.
Okay. And is that directly tied to the bicycle infrastructure that's existed in those countries?
I can't speak. I would love for somebody to explain. I need some splaining.
Because a lot of European countries have a much longer history with bicycle, cycling infrastructure. And I'm looking at like Amsterdam and Europe. Period.
All of those pieces come into play in Europe. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So yes, there is a scene for these mid 20-something cyclists to keep riding their bikes, having fun, and making a little bit of money while they're doing it. Are they making $500,000 a year? No. Yeah. But most of these kids, they're perfectly happy. If I can scrape by and feed myself and have somebody shuttle my stuff to the next event, I'm happy. I'm riding my bicycle. And that's actually what I've started kind of getting excited about on the privateer side of things. It's like, if this is a concept that we can actually make work, that is something that could be scaled. Yeah. And more promoters could do something similar, and more kids could have the opportunity to show off their skill set and talent and maybe be considered down the road for something like the Lifetime Grand Prix.
We have another email.
Yeah, we had another one.
I was
too.
just
What
about
was
to
that?
ask you. I already have it pulled up. I was going to ask you if we wanted to address that. From Tanner?
Yep.
Yeah. You want to read it, Caleb?
Yeah, I can read it. Okay, let me get my reading voice going.
It was a dark, stormy night.
Rubber baby buggy bumpers. Rubber baby buggy bumpers. This is from Tanner Minnis. I guess that's how you pronounce his last
Tyler?
name. Tanner.
Tanner.
Taylor?
Taylor.
Tim. This is from Tim.
Are you saying Pam with two
Tim,
N's?
This is from Tim Nimdis.
Tim McMinnis.
Tanner. I'm reading his words. I spend enough time in the bike world, and eventually if you spend enough time in the bike world,
None of this works.
God, I'm fucking this up.
Here, I'll take
no.
Spend enough time in the bike world, and eventually you'll feel the pull of buying bike speed.
This motherfucker.
You've just added words and everything every time. Read the words that are on the fucking screen.
Okay.
Left.
In my defense, this text is small. It's not.
It's bigger on my phone. I'll read it.
With the bike industry currently shuffling the deck, pricing finally got the. God damn it! Now you got me all. See, here's the
Pricing
thing.
finally got the better of me,
pressure,
and I
can't deal with
panicked.
it.
Bought a new Specialized crux frame. My 2017 aluminum Salsa Warbird had me second guessing my potential, and the reality of pulling 5 pounds off my bike alone got me pretty excited. I read at a 5th grade level. Thank you. I think of myself as a strong B racer and dream of being able to finish around the A riders. I train hard, I go all out in events, and I love being part of the community. That said, I'm never going to end up towing the line in the Tour de France, so what's a fancy new bike really worth? Will 5 pounds actually save me any time or add to the time I can suffer along behind rock stars like Lauren, congrats on the win at Gila. Gila, wow, whatever.
Oh, you fucked up too.
Just because I don't know pronunciation doesn't mean anything. I can read the words.
Okay.
Emily, Matt, Austin, Corey, congratulations on qualifying for UCI Gravel Worlds in Belgium, etc. So what do you think? Do new bikes improve the ride? Does a 25% decrease in bike weight matter? How do you justify money spent versus ride quality experience? For the record, I'm super excited to get the new ride. I'm also super excited to hear more about the TCM qualifier ride. He says in quotes, or in parentheses, I love to put a personal target on that ride. Thanks again for always entertaining podcasts. My knee jerk is yes, and who cares?
Given his situation, if he is in this category of riding, 5 pounds, 25% is massive.
Substantial.
So, well, first off, I need clarification.
Well, he's going from aluminum to carbon, first of all.
That's not 5 pounds, though.
Well, somehow it is.
Well, also shaving off different, who knows what the drive, he may be going from a 2x to a 1x. And
I understand. I think it's more than the frame. It's all I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think there's a 5 pound difference in the frame. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yeah,
but maybe 5 pounds overall bike weight.
5 pounds of bike weight at the levels that Tanner is riding at, and I can vouch for the levels that he's riding at, definitely makes a difference. No ifs, ands, or buts.
100% make a difference. And a lot of times when you move from a 17 to a 24 bike, you're going to gain a lot of technological advances too, including probably more aero. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And they got aero socks now too. That makes all the difference in the world.
But
and wax chains.
So yes. New bikes improve the ride, even in a placebo effect, as alluded to by Caleb before.
Yes, the perception of said.
I'm going to refer to Caleb as Mr. Placebo from now on.
And a 25% decrease in bike weight absolutely does matter. And how do you justify money spent versus ride quality experience? Who gives a shit? You don't have to justify it unless there's someone at the house that's asking you for justification.
You don't have to justify it to us if there's somebody else in the household. It's not for me to tell you what or what not to do in that case.
That's true. But, I mean, if it makes you happy, do it. You know, if you're not, like, foregoing your kids' meals, so you can have a nice shiny bike.
just to give just a quick snapshot of Tanner Tyler Taylor's current skill set, for lack of a better term. Red River Riot, he took off with our long route people. What was it? I can't even remember. What was that?
127.
127.
Something like that.
Something like that. Sounds about right. So he took off with Lauren and Matt and Corey, the fast group.
What's Corey's last name?
Ray.
Okay.
And I think at around mile 18 or so, we hit Windmill Hill. And he had been dropped off of that group by Windmill Hill, but not too far. I mean, within sight. They were probably cresting the hill as he was going up the base.
Okay.
But he did fall in with the fastest group of 100K riders, including Chris Carlson and Cullendar, and lost track of who was in what race. But anyway, so Tanner was with the fastest of the fast 100K riders cresting Windmill Hill. He was sucking wind at that point. He was giving it his all. And I guarantee you, if he would have had a 5-pound lighter bike at that point,
it would have been
it would have been noticeable.
I'm going to say he's probably going to shave. So I'm looking at the 2017 Warbird aluminum. It's 2x105. It does have a carbon fork, but going and looking, I'm going to make an assumption that he's probably looking at the new new Crux.
But he said frame specifically, though.
Oh, yeah.
Did he?
What frame is he getting? Did he say that?
A Crux.
He said the Crux frame.
Oh, he did? I didn't read that. Did I?
I thought. Read it again.
Saucer Warbird had me second guessing my potential, and the reality is pulling 5 pounds off my bike alone got me pretty excited. I think he means total. Yeah, well, 5 pounds saved me time. But I think there's a very high chance.
But he.
Oh yeah, specialized Crux frame. That's right.
He does specifically say frame though, right?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, he says specialized Crux frame.
But he may.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
He may mean he may mean complete bike.
I think. Well, all the none of the new.
But none of that Warbird stuff's going to go on to a current Crux.
What crank does he need, Caleb?
I got a GRX crank said he can buy. Look, I'm going to go with he's going to buy a new bike.
That's my guess, and that would be 5 pounds. I don't doubt that at all.
Every one of the current Crux models, regardless of irregardless of
irregardless
build kit,
is now a word.
they are all in the 1x orientation.
Yeah, which is going to easily save you a pound just in drivetrain.
Well, yeah, and I mean 105 is built to take a licking, so it's a little heavier than most anyway.
I wonder if he got the S-Works Crux.
That Crux Pro paint job.
I think
awesome.
if you get an S-Works, you say my S-Works.
You're probably not wrong.
It's kind of like when you have a titanium Fargo, you say my Thai Fargo.
That's true.
I would look if this kind of falls in line with the video we were watching that had to do with aerodynamics and tires and stuff about the threshold of speed and your ability. So threshold of speed is going to come down to two things. What are you bike packing or are you racing? If you're racing and you're below that threshold, the aerodynamics come in. But I think we'll let that plane pass over.
This frame weight's 3 pounds, 2.4 ounces, and I don't know if that's for the frame and the fork or just the frame, but 3 pounds, 2.4 ounces.
Well, the photo has the fork in it.
It does.
Anyway, going back to what I was saying, like his speed and ability, 2 pounds would make a difference.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I think 5 pounds, 25%. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, there's no doubt that 5 pound. If there's a 5 pound shift, that's going to make a huge.
Also, I'm making the assumption I took the lowest end 2017 Warbird, which was that 2x105 build.
Well, it was aluminum, so it is going to be a lower.
That's true. That's true. The performance of the more modern components is going to be better. You're going to have stiffer cranks. You're going to have better shifting. Probably the gear range is going to be a lot better.
Frame.
Yeah, this could put him in a good position.
The drivetrain is going to be a noticeable percentage of improvement in efficiency.
I mean, and just going from a 25-pound bike to a 20-pound bike is a absolute game changer.
I don't dispute that.
Yeah.
Where I mock the weight weenies is when they're shaving 8 grams,
Yeah.
but they have a belly like mine.
And they average 14 like me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I get it. But, I mean, all those grams do add up. You know, if you total them up, there's only so much you can shave off your bike. And once you get to a certain precipice of weight, every like gram, pound, it starts costing in the thousands, because now you're talking about getting, super lightweight wheels and stuff like that.
Yes.
So at some point, it does make sense to maybe put down the beer.
Maybe put down the beer, or just invest the money in liposuction. So
Yeah. Or
But Caleb was about to go off. What had you stirred up there?
or Ozempic.
We were talking. So he's talking about fast gravel races. We're last couple of times we've talked about Unbound and distance. I think that over time, shaving off weight on certain areas is beneficial, even if you are averaging 13, 14 miles an hour, because the marginal gain over time and distance makes sense.
Well, and he's just talking about weight. What I'm thinking about when you're talking about distance is the amount of comfort that he's going to gain from this bike versus that Warbird. He's going to notice a difference immediately.
I just wish he wasn't buying a Specialized.
Yeah, well,
but that's okay. That's okay.
I just want to know what color.
They are pretty.
What color?
Specialized they do know how to use the paint. Yeah, that's for sure.
I mean, I looked at their regular, and I'm looking at their S-Works, and every one of them just looks super sexy, especially that S-Works that's white and, what do they call it, gloss birch, red, gold, pearl.
Going back to that Specialized talk, and maybe they're the ones that are on the chopping block sort of thing. And this is stupid, crazy rumor, but the one that started floating around last week, and I think I sent you guys a blurb about it, and then it showed up on a YouTube video the next day. So supposedly, again, this is just rumor, and this is all hypotheticals. I'm not saying this is the case. Specialized, don't sue me. Walmart, don't sue me. Supposedly, Specialized is in big trouble, and they were about to go belly up, but there's a rumor out there that Walton Investment Group bailed them out and is potentially taking over. I have zero to
this
back.
Just in, you heard it here, Kevin Lee.
I have zero to back that, but that would be something. That said,
I mean, Specialized is slashing all their prices on their website.
They have been for a while.
Like this S-Works Roubaix SL8 original price $14K. Marked down to $89.99.
Yeah, they've had
a substantial savings.
They have had big price reductions.
Yeah,
and Specialized themselves. I did not know this, but when those rumors started floating around and other people were throwing up some, I can't remember the name of the company, some Japanese bike company, Mikata or something like that, maybe, actually has a 49% ownership stake in Specialized, when Specialized almost went bankrupt in 2001, and they were saved back then by this other bicycle company.
Wow.
Makita, maybe that's what Makita, maybe.
That is a bike company. And then there's also Makita's a power tool company. Miyata, Miyata.
Maybe. I can't remember, but anyway.
If only I knew how the search function worked.
Well, about to say, you guys are the ones with the computers in front of you. You could find this easily enough.
Man, I got more things to talk about. We're running out of time.
Well, we can split it in two, or we can chop out shit that doesn't need to be in here. What you got?
So going back, this kind of ties into smaller bike companies and how they market to people and how they offer abilities to purchase their bike. I think it's a terrible name for a bike company, but have you heard of Propane Bikes? Propain?
I haven't.
I have not. That's a new one to me.
Yeah, terrible name.
That's a horrible name.
It's a terrible. But interesting enough, it looks like they are launching a competitor to the Ouroboros. Ouroboros.
Okay.
I hate that name too. But you can get this bike. This is the Propane Terrell. And you can get a shock mount option. Option is the key word. The button on their website says customize now. I'm like, well, I thought that was weird. But when you go to it, I've not seen a bike company offer a purchase path like this to where you basically are building it like you are ordering your Thai food.
Really?
Like, it starts off with
What is it?
propane dash bikes, but you start with your size, all these color options, different. You can select an individual build kit or go directly to base. Their build kits are built around functionality, which is really cool. So you have an adventure version, a trail version.
I kind of like that concept.
A competition version. I mean, look at all these. I'm not even halfway down
I
scrolling all
understand.
these different variations that you can add to it.
It's too many choices.
Yeah, it can be for some people, but I think
No.
the ability to
For a consummate consumer,
Yeah.
like somebody that likes to do that.
to tinker.
I get that, and I don't dispute that. I would personally, yes, that's the functionality I would like to customize a bike. No,
Right.
but we're not the average bears that are out there.
Yeah.
That's true.
And hey, the base model, I think starts at.
Are you looking at the Terrell? The Terrell?
Yeah, it starts at $25.99, which is not awful, but you start getting into the updates to the build kit.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's a very interesting. We live in a world where everything we want customized, just perfect to us.
That Roll Bicycle Company, where I got my Econo aluminum bike, kind of works a much fewer options, but it kind of works in the same vein.
I read that Roll was done.
But as Josh Dean would ask,
It wouldn't surprise me if they were.
They filed for Chapter 11, I believe.
Okay. No, it wouldn't surprise me
I think I read that recently.
that they were.
Josh Dean would ask, is it fully custom?
I mean, yeah, based on the ability.
What defines fully custom?
I don't know. He just always throws that
he
out
does.
there.
But is it custom, bro?
But is it fully custom?
Fully custom is custom chainstay
Here's
lengths
the
and
here's the photo
all
of it with the. What does that
geometry.
look like? It looks like an orange Ouroboros.
Yeah. I like that.
Up to
Pretty
50
much.
up to 50 mil.
I like the look of that bar too.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it actually is the Ouroboros, the way those things work these days.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's
The interesting thing on this, I just noticed. So the Velo News photo, there's no label on the frame at all.
right.
I looked at it and thought, oh god damn, that's sexy. And then you go to their website and it's got this
The
NASCAR looking gigantic logo on
yeah,
it.
that propane. That's one of those generic. Hey, let's come up with an English-looking word
Yep.
from Asia, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Oh,
you see that on Temu and
Where are they headed?
Amazon all the time.
Does it say where they're headquartered?
I just clicked on it. Let's
Yeah.
see. We are located in they're those friendly folk up north.
Oh, in Canada?
They're Canadian.
Oh no, not quite. It's Vancouver, Washington.
Oh,
So they're still importing though.
yeah.
Oh, Propane Bicycles Limited, Spindleway, Crawley, UK.
Hey, and Caleb, website designer.
Yeah.
What is this shit? What is that? I mean, is that just a space filler?
No,
Is that
that's
supposed to say something?
That's some kind of logo type. Does that say Terrell? No, it doesn't say Terrell.
Not that I can read.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a design aesthetic, but I don't see how it is relevant to.
No, me neither. That's
the
why I
concept.
asked.
I don't know where they're headquartered at. There's a USA headquarters in Washington.
Yeah.
There's a UK headquarters, and then there's a German. You know what? I bet they're German because this site initially loaded in
In Romania?
German talk,
Okay.
German speech. So that's cool. That is called the. What did I call that?
You know what's interesting to me
Propane Terrell.
is they have, it looks like they do have e-bikes. Never mind. I was about to say they don't even have an e-bike, but they're all the way at the bottom of the page, which seems crazy.
They don't have an e-bike.
Yeah, they do.
Fuck those
They
guys.
have 3 different models.
Okay, last thing, I have 2 more things. One thing, this is outside of my pay scale, but I saw this and it looked interesting to me. Have you heard of Solo XD?
Oh, I was looking at that earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
So explain this to me. I think
that single speed.
yes,
thing,
it's a single speed conversion.
That wasn't making any sense to me.
It's so you can convert.
Give me the 3-year-old.
Okay, so if you have an XD driver,
Yeah.
there's not a company right now that makes a seamless way to convert that to a single speed.
Okay.
So what they're doing is they're making a one-stop shopping kit to convert your XD driver into single speed. That's what I took from it at face value.
Yes, and then but they've also announced a Shimano version as well.
But it's still going to work off the XD driver. I don't know. Maybe they're going with the micro spline or whatever Shimano's new driver is. But I feel like the XD driver is where everybody's kind of headed. Yeah, it says on SRAM XD and XDR free hubs. The brand says the Solo XD offers a cost-effective alternative to single-speed gearing, with riders no longer needing to purchase a new wheel set or replacement free hub. So, because historically, if you wanted to convert an XD driver, you had to change the driver out to a standard Shimano free hub, and then you'd have to buy spacer kit, cog, and a lock ring.
Okay.
And so now, and there are also, this is what's cool, is the kit comes, you can choose it either with a 16, 18, or 20. Oh, it says available with 16, 18, and 20 tooth narrow wide cog options, which is pretty cool, and available in 7 color options. So,
okay, so just walk me through. So, what is the advantage of switching over to the more traditional free hub and spacer kit?
There's not an advantage. I would say there's a disadvantage at this point, because an XD driver has more material or less material, so it's lighter. The engagement is the same. However, the locking mechanism is seemingly a lot more secure.
Than switching to a free hub and traditional spacer kit.
XD is what I'm saying. I'm talking about XD compared to a normal free hub body.
I understand, but you said you could switch to. What's the advantage of staying XD versus switching the free hub body?
Because you don't have to purchase a free hub body.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much is this compared to a free hub body? That
I don't know.
If we're talking expense, is there an expense benefit? Is what I guess is what I'm getting at.
And also, here's another valid point that's said in the article. Some single-speed cogs can dig into the splines on the free hub driver, which is very true.
Yes.
This is because the cog focuses all the power from the cranks onto one point in the driver. To avoid this, Wheels Manufacturing Design uses a sleeve that slides onto the driver and covers similar to how a standard cassette would. So that means that they're displacing the footprint of that cog across the entire driver. I don't know how that works when it comes to spacing.
The space, I read that too. It's like, so is it spacers just on the end sort of thing? Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I would like an in-depth tutorial on this.
Yeah, same. I'm sure there's a YouTube video about it. Gusset also offers its XD1ER conversion kit.
And then we're back to how many people, what's the target audience size for this thing?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
how many of these units can they possibly? Don't get me wrong. I'm wishing them all the success in the world.
I don't know if you're familiar with Wheels Manufacturing, but if they're going to make it, there's a market for it because they build high quality products. They also build hubs and a bunch of other stuff, and they don't have a lot of stuff that sits around. It doesn't seem like.
Okay.
So, I don't know, but I mean, I don't know how to answer that question. I don't know because.
I mean, my perception is the single speed market's smaller than it's ever been right now, but maybe my perception's off.
I don't disagree, and it saddens me, but I think single speed makes better riders, personally.
Hey, we want to talk about the 1-Up upgrade?
Yeah, I haven't looked at it yet.
It looks like they added in a thumb switch.
Oh, so you can do it one-handed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the one.
I don't know what that is either.
That sounds like a cat. Kitty. It looks like the price has gone down. The single bike is $600 for this new version.
That's still expensive, though.
Yeah,
but for a lifetime rack.
But not for them.
Yeah.
They're
True.
It was around $700. Was
One,
there?
True.
One-Up's another one of those companies that got picked up by one of those private equity firms.
Yeah,
So
and
it'll be interesting to see what comes of them.
And the guy that designed this left and started his own company.
Yeah, that's been a soap opera for years.
And what's it called? Patriot or something like that?
I don't know, but I know that for the same goddamn design, it's almost
Twice as much.
Twice as expensive, yeah.
Yeah.
And the lead time is long.
Yeah, that's like I said. That one's been a soap opera.
This is a product that I have most certainly been irresponsible and have neglected purchasing a newer. I bought my Thule I bought it used.
So here's, I'm going to give my hot sports opinion on One Up, and this really is not knocking One Up. This is not knocking.
Nobody gives
One-Up
that kind of a.
owners.
Nobody says that and then doesn't knock.
My biggest issue with One Up is they charge that premium price and sell it direct.
I do agree with that.
I would much rather that if you bought that $600 rack at your local bike shop and the local bike shop made a couple $100 on it, I would be much more One-Up receptive at that point myself. Or if they sold that bike rack direct, and I get it, that's the way a lot of the bicycle industry is going direct.
Yeah.
All right, it should be a $400 rack at that point. If I do, and that's
I can't argue with that.
But I don't begrudge anyone that buys a One-Up. I don't begrudge anyone that's a huge One-Up fan. Fantastic, go for it.
I am I'm a zealot for One-Up.
You are a One-Up zealot. You're a one.
I'm a One-Up cuck.
One-Up and clamper zealot. Did you see those? Did you see those Rasta clampers?
No.
Yeah. You sent it to us.
I sent it to y'all.
And
They're pretty with a capital P.
are they on Paul's site?
They were. I can't remember where I linked them from.
Or was it a limited run?
No, it's that company that works in IGC or something like that.
See if I can find it.
Works in. I mean, it's in our thread, but
Sorry.
Rasta clampers that are a throwback to the old Paul Rasta derailleur, and the same company that, in association with Paul, makes the modern
there they
Rasta.
It wasn't a link; it was a photo, and those are sexy, for sure.
Is it where is it?
Here, I'll resend the send to you.
Okay, don't
I'll
yell
do it
at
at
me.
the bottom of it. There.
And what's this picture of this bike you sent me?
Oh,
that's the Special.
That's the Specialized. Oh, going back to Specialized real quick, and we were bragging on their paint schemes. I do find it odd that they tout their high-end Crux as being aerodynamic, yet they're painting them with satin finishes. That does make a difference.
What's that? What you said?
I'm not following. I'm sorry.
Well, a satin finish is less aerodynamic than a gloss finish. If you're touting your bike as being very aerodynamic, why are you not painting it?
Why is a satin finish?
Because
more?
it has particulates in it that remove the super glossy finish, and when this feels like satin right here, this tabletop.
Okay.
Air doesn't travel over that as fast as what it does with gloss.
Right.
I'm just saying. It's an interesting. If I were a racy boy, I would not buy this bike paint simply because of it's a satin finish. I'm just saying it makes a difference.
But
if you're of the speedy kind.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway,
We'll wait till we have Dylan here, and we'll have him.
I would ride
explain.
a rhino lined bike. I don't give a shit.
put some truck bed liner on that thing. The way that you take care of your bikes, you probably could benefit from some bed tough liner on it.
It's meant to be like dimples on a golf ball. So when you're riding side by side with somebody,
But you cannot paint your frame in truck bed liner unless you have truck nuts hanging off the back of your seat. That has to go together.
You know that's a thing. They have those for bikes. I've seen them.
the bike lights.
The bike lights.
Bitch, I brought them to war.
Oh, did
to Wood
you?
Ape Ramble 2. It was a bike light that hung
Yeah.
off the back of my seat, and it
Yeah.
was testicles.
Yeah, that's maybe where I've seen them before. Then.
Okay.
Sorry, dude. I'm old. I've seen a lot of shit.
All right. What else?
Does anybody have something important they need to throw into the mix?
Definitely not important.
No, I have zero that's important.
Nothing important.
Is that right? Let me go over our list again.
I do believe that the weather's supposed to break tomorrow or tonight, and the high tomorrow is only supposed to be into the 70s.
80 tomorrow, 80 Friday, Saturday and Sunday are looking like amazing 78 and 76.
I thought it was supposed to rain on Sunday.
Well, I don't count anything that's this far out.
Yeah. Are we going to ramble on Sunday, or do you need to go get big stuff?
I'm going to try to go get big stuff on Saturday and then join you guys on
Sunday.
On Sunday. I'm going riding after this when I get home and wrap up work.
Okay.
I'm going to go out. I mean, I'm just going to do like a very easy.
I'm going grocery shopping.
Whoop told me that I'm in bad shape.
Oh, yeah?
And you know how I'm a zealot for Whoop. So
You're a slave to the system.
I am.
I've got nothing in particular. I hit all my points.
Spinistry news, anything you want to talk about? No? Okay. Brad, what do we need to go do?
Let's go ride your bike.